Welcome to Dreams Inspire Reality Podcast with Tara Darnley, a podcast for creatives looking to turn their dreams into reality with practical strategic steps from everyday people and entrepreneurs who are living their best lives possible. Dreams inspire reality. Turn your dreams into reality. Dreams inspire reality.
Hello, everyone. I know we've been in a hiatus, but today I am so happy to bring you an amazing guest, Aycee Brown, and she's going to share a ton of gems with you guys. Aycee Brown is the founder and creator of Goodnight Darling Co. Goodnight Darling is a luxury line designed to promote healthy sleep habits, which we all need, provide sleep-inducing merchandise, and share knowledge for self-care development. So I'm super happy to have her on. I know she's going to probably have to drop tons of gems on how we should get our entire life together when it comes to having healthy sleep and habits, because I know I don't have that. So Aycee, I'm so happy to have you on. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me on, and I hope your listeners will get some gems and learn some sleep and self-care tips.
Yay. So the first question I normally ask my guests, are you living your dream life?
I am almost there. I can say that. Yes. I am almost there, but I would have to say am, because I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. So I'm there, but not totally there.
What does that look like for you to live your complete dream life?
When I can purchase a private jet.
Hey.
So I have a ways to go, and I hope I can appreciate the journey along the way. But once I have the private jet, I'll be like, okay, I've made it. And I know that's not, a good marker, but that's the marker in my brain.
That's all that matters. Doesn't matter whose brain, just yours. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get started? How did you bring your company to life?
Well, like I said, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a kid. I would say, my mom would say 6. So I was always thinking of things to sell around the house or coming up with different business ideas, from nail polish to making candies and selling them in school. I've done network marketing. I've done all of that. But along the way, my parents definitely instilled education was important. So I do have my MBA in marketing. So along with that, I always just had this dream of making one of my dreams happen. And I always just, say, I'm going to start something. I tried corporate America and climbing to the top, and it just didn't work because I went through a few layoffs and how much you dedicated to a company. And then they're just like, we don't need you anymore because we can't afford you. It's like, wow, okay. Maybe I should just really invest more in myself and in more in my entrepreneurial journey. But there's nothing wrong with having a job or having a career. It's just, finding something that's right for you. So that's how I got started. I hope I answered that properly.
You did. And I love that you said there's nothing wrong with having a job, because I see so many job shaming online. And I think that's important for us to remember that sometimes our jobs fund our dreams, right? And so talk a little bit about, how did you test the market to bring your product to market? Because your product is a luxury line. So I know definitely the cost then is a factor in terms of you pricing it at a great markup and, for it to be a luxury product. So can you take us through that? How did you test the market? How did you decide on pricing, and how did you stick to your pricing?
Well, testing the market was a little bit different for me because I had all of the recipes and everything was my own. And what I was noticing, because at first I was going to just do Goodnight Darling Co. was just going to be a store of sleep-related products. And as I was pricing out everything, there were a lot of lines, a lot of luxury bath and body lines, self-care stuff, beauty stuff, everything. But it was all pieced together. It wasn't cohesive. So maybe one line that I really liked, they had a sleep bath soak, or another line had a lavender lotion or something like that. But it wasn't like they all had one particular line that I liked, except for this line in London. I just said, that's not really what I want to do. I already have the recipes. I already know what I want it to look like. So then I started pricing, cost of goods to see what it would look like. Everything's handmade. All the recipes are created by me. I did everything from start to finish with the brand. So from the design, the packaging, everything. So I just looked around to see what was out there and what I liked, what I didn't like. And I consider me having a really great aesthetic. And that's just from working in retail, in high school and in college. So I was able to see and know what wouldn't look good on shelves. So that was really important to me. I knew the type of stores and the type of buyers that I wanted to attract. So that's really how I pieced everything together and priced it properly.
That's awesome. And I love that you were able to identify your target audience early. So let's talk about that a little bit, because a lot of us think that everyone is our target audience, and we know that's not true. So how did you, really clarify who your target audience is and how to market to them? Because I believe for sure entrepreneurs are your target audience because we are sleep deprived. So how did you really key in on that?
Well, usually what I do for myself and for clients that I work with who ask me to help them with their brand is I, reverse engineer it. And so I knew that one day I wanted my product in Anthropologie, Urban Outfitters, West Elm, those type of stores. So you have to think backwards and say, okay, would this look good there? Who shops there? What are their annual salaries like? Where do they live? Are they metropolitan? Are they country chic kind of people? Or do they work? Are they college graduates? You really have to look into all of that and really reverse engineer. Okay, so if you want your stuff in Macy's, I love Macy's. There's nothing wrong with Macy's, but my product, that's not a goal for me. And when you know your target market and you know what your product is, you can understand why, and which is nothing wrong with that. Some people have a target market of Macy's, or even being, a lot of hair care companies, especially the starter ones, they're always like, oh, I want to get in a Target. I want to get in a Target. That might not be who your target audience is. Walmart might be a better fit for you. And that's about just reverse engineering and just seeing who shops there, their age range. So I looked into all of that when I started developing the product.
Girl, that's a word, because you often hear people say, I want to get into this store, I want to get into that store. But like you said, is your target audience. You want to get to the place where your target audience is. So I love that you reverse engineered that and you were like, you know what, my target audience is these stores and that's what I'm going to target.
Just one of them.
Just one of them right now. Take us through that. Like, how is that process? How were you able to get into that store that from the gate you were like, this is one of my goals?
Well, I've always been a fan of West Elm from when they started. I'm from New York, New Jersey area anyway. So I live in the DC area now, but so I always loved them. I love the aesthetic. I love the furniture, everything. And I knew that, I could see my products in there. And I like to start by saying this is that they contacted me, how the initial ball started rolling. And people were like, oh, wow, that's so great. How did that happen? And it all starts with where you're being seen at, your social media platforms, because social media is very important now. And a lot of people sort of, I don't want to say miss that mark, but social media can help you. And they found me on Instagram. And the person at the West Elm store in DC, she found my products on Instagram. She emailed me. We set up the time to meet. I did a pop-up shop because how their program works for local makers and artists is you do a pop-up shop there. And then if they like your products and if you do well with sales, then you submit your products to corporate. And I did that. Corporate loved my products and they put me in 2 stores. So it's really about like going back to what we're saying, knowing your target market, knowing your target audience. Sometimes people say, oh, I want to get into West Elm too. And I always automatically say, does your product fit in West Elm? Just because you want to get in there. And it's not any shade or anything, but it's the same with Target. My products don't fit in Target. I would love to get in Target because that's nice. I shop there, but my Targets don't fit there. So you have to really think about that. I know you can attest to that with your product. Your product shouldn't be everywhere either. Even though you are in a big demographic with baby stuff and moms and stuff, but you also have your own aesthetic and everything where you want your products to be seen. So something for you that's not on your radar. People are like, oh, you should be in there. You're like, no, but that's not my target audience. And people really miss that when it comes to getting their products out there. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way, especially when it came to even working with smaller boutiques who reached out to me. At the beginning, I was like, oh, I just want a wholesale order. Sure. Here's my stuff. And then they didn't reorder. And I was like, Dad, why aren't they reordering? And I had to think about it, like, my products don't fit in their store. So just because someone reaches out and says, oh, can I have your line sheet and, what's the minimum order and all of that? In the beginning, that's fun because you want the sale. But now I look and see, do you have a website? Where are you located? I look and research myself because I don't want just somebody who makes one order. I want someone like my customers now, my small boutiques, they're reordering every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. There's a boutique in Nebraska they opened up, and mind you, I just said Nebraska, and she's calling me almost every 2 weeks now. She's making bigger orders, but she has customers who come in and buy like all the products. Like, oh, I love the smell. I'm going to give these as gifts. So that's the type of customers you want, especially having, being a small business, you want that type of customer. So you have to start really looking at, where do my products fit? So when people reach out to me, I don't automatically say, sure, I can give them the information, but then I look and say, hey, this might not be a good fit. It doesn't look like you have products in my price range. I look and see what other products they have that are similar to mine, that would be next to where people are like, oh, they have herbivore botanicals. Oh, this is a new brand, Goodnight Darling. Let me see this. So I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And you're so right. Like for us as well, we focus so much on our branding. And like you said, you don't want your product every single place because, it just doesn't have your target audience. And I think people sleep on small boutiques because they're thinking about the major retailers. But just like you, we have more like profit when it comes to smaller retailers or even international. So I definitely agree with that for sure. So I hope you guys are taking notes on that. That's some real tip. Let's talk about your 9 to 5 funding your business. Like, I know a lot of people are still working their jobs and they're working on their business and they feel like, I can't balance both. Can you share some tips? How are you balancing both and how are you working on your business while still working a 9 to 5?
I would say, well, I'm part-time, so it's a little bit easier for me. But in the beginning when I wasn't, it was difficult, but asking me is a little bit challenging because right now in my position, I don't have any children. I only have dogs, but I know people who run business who have kids and who make it work as well. But I would say you have to really keep your eye on the prize. I know that's so cliche, but you really do, because you will get tempted, because the first thing that is going to be affected is your social life. Every one of your friends doesn't have a business. They don't want a business. Some of them have really great paying jobs. They take trips, they go shopping, they do brunch. That's great for them. But then even if that was your life, you want something different. So you have to sacrifice those things. So instead of you purchasing a new handbag or going to Starbucks every day, you could be putting that into your business. And so you don't have to take out your 401k. So you don't have to borrow against your credit card or something like that, or go into debt trying to make something happen. So I think people miss the mark sometimes when they're like, I want to get this going so I can quit. Quitting is not the end all be all sometimes. I mean, you quit when you really can't manage the two, when it's super, super duper hard, and you can pretty much afford to, because what happens when you're working full time for yourself, you literally have to answer to yourself. And if you don't have the proper schedule, the proper organization, you can fall into traps where you're not being productive because you're used to going somewhere for a set amount of time. And now you technically have to create a set amount of time for yourself with your own business. So I think it's manageable. I know an old photographer friend of mine who used to own a photography business. She had a thriving, and she still does, she has 2 locations now, a thriving business, but her time management skills were impeccable because she went to work because she made great money at her job. And then she was also making 6 figures in her photography business after working on the weekend. But she had impeccable time management skills, and you can do it. You just have to sacrifice other places and you'll get to your goals, and then you can incorporate those things back in there.
I think that's where the issue comes in, but that was an amazing tip for sure. So I have one question that I need to be answered for myself. I need some self-care tips, and I guess our audience could use it too. But do you have any self-care tips for entrepreneurs that we can use to make our life easier?
Well, for the moms out there,
let me clarify, because I'm no longer part of the Team No Sleep crew because I need my sleep.
Good.
So I'm specifically talking about that.
I would say for an entrepreneurs, the biggest thing is because when you're an entrepreneur, you are, of course, doing what you love. So time sort of disappears in a way. Sometimes I'm up to 2 o'clock in the morning doing stuff. Then it's like, oh, wait, I forgot I got to get up at 7 or 8. I always tell people, first things first, one of my tips when I do my 7 days to better sleep workshop is don't use a cell phone as your alarm clock. Get an actual alarm clock. And people, of course, now in this day and age with cell phones, they have issues with that because they think the world is literally going to end with their cell phone in another room. But I always tell people to try it for a week. Just you get an actual alarm clock. We sell alarm clocks. I sell an alarm cube. It's really cute. It has an alarm on it. And use an alarm clock. That's number one. Number two is actually go to bed 1 hour before you're actually tired, because a lot of people don't know this, but not actually, your body's sleepy or ready to go to bed 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour before you are actually physically tired. That's how long the delay is. So say, for instance, if you get physically tired, like, oh, I'm yawning, I need to go to bed, and it's 11 o'clock, you actually should have been to bed around 9:30, 10. That would have been best for your body. So I say go to bed an hour early. I also say to people, number 3, which is also can be number 1, is to declutter your room. If you have papers and stuff underneath the bed and bills and magazines and stuff is not cleared off, that also doesn't help you sleep or rest well. And if you always notice, I always say, try to make your bedroom a vacation mode or vacation spot. If you always notice that when you're on vacation, you sleep better. It's not actually because you're on vacation, but when you're in a hotel room, you actually get a clean slate. There's none of your stuff there. It's just the bed, the TV, new bedding, but the room is impeccably clean. So you don't have any of your burdens, any of your extra stuff, or anything that reminds you of stress or whatever the case may be. So I always tell people to try and make that a priority as well, decluttering your room. So for instance, in my room, I don't have a TV. I have 2 nightstands with a couple of books, paintings, and it's really bare minimum. And I keep it that way. I don't bring bills. I don't bring anything that reminds me of stress or worry because I need to go to sleep. So those are my top 3 tips.
I love it. So I'm definitely going to try the alarm one because my alarm on my phone doesn't work anyway. I sleep through that joint. So I'm definitely going to get your alarm clock and I'm going to try that. That sounds great for sure. Hopefully it works. I love all those tips and I'm definitely going to try all of them. So guys, make sure you try them as well. Don't leave me hanging by myself. And we're going to go into the fun round. So I'm going to ask you some fun questions and don't think too hard about them. The first question is, who's your favorite entrepreneur?
I would have to say probably Bethany Frankel.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because she is just someone who totally pushed through. I watched her story. I watched Real Housewives of New York, whatever. That's my vice. And she pushed through, and there were times where she couldn't pay her rent, and she was just trying to make it happen. And she had this crazy idea to make a skinny girl margarita, and people were like, "What is this? This is stupid." I just remember sometimes she was just falling on deaf ears. And then years later, she finally hit it big and she sold a portion of her company for over $100 million. And she's turned it into a multi-million-dollar brand. And so you have to respect that, especially when she's worked hard for it. So I like those stories. Latest business win, I can't talk about it, but it's good. That's all I can.
She's going to leave us hanging.
No, I can't talk about it, but it's good.
We're going to follow up for it. I'm going to put it under the show notes once you announce it.
Yeah, once I can say, we'll do that.
Okay. And your favorite business tool that you cannot live without? It could be 1 through 5. We want your top tools you cannot live without.
That I live without? Probably say Voxer. That's probably number 1 because in my consulting, I do talk to a lot of clients. It's I use Voxer a lot. Number 2, I would probably say Google Drive. Yeah, those would be the 2.
The last book you read?
The last book I read a couple of books at the same time. Well, last book I listened to, so I was listening to it again because I wanted to listen to it again. You Are a Badass at Making Money. So I was listening to that again today.
The last business failure you had? It doesn't have to be a major fail. It could be just something you learned.
Oh, just I'm really starting to, I would say it's not a failure. It's just a learning lesson. I'm really starting to, within both of my business now with Goodnight Darling and my consulting, I'm really starting to understand the saying time is money, because I've had a couple of people waste my time, and it really was just like, wow, you know what I mean? With the ultimate like form of disrespect, it's like, I can't do this anymore. So I would have to say that's like one of the last business things that I've learned is time really is money.
Time is money. I've been learning that one too.
Yeah, that's a
And
hard one.
it's a hard one. It really is. And I want to know the last good deed that was done for you, that someone did for you, the last good deed.
Oh, I can say someone sent me some little, like a desk plaque. A friend of mine sent me a desk plaque. And because I always tell people, like, I'm sending you good vibes. So it says good vibes only. And that really, really made my day.
That was nice. That was nice. And lastly, what's the best advice that you have for anyone listening out there that is stuck in their dreams and they don't know what way to go and they're just like, I don't know if I should, keep going. What advice do you have for any entrepreneur out there listening?
I would say just do it. You're going to fail. And once you get over that, you'll be fine. That's really it. Failure is inevitable at some point, whether it's the beginning, middle, and it's not like you're going to lose your whole life or anything, but you might make mistakes or things might happen that you don't know about. But keep going. If you have some type of dream or passion that is in you, it's not there for you just to sit there. It's, if you're supposed to be baking cakes, if you're supposed to be writing a book, if you are supposed to be starting a dog walking business, if those ideas pop into your mind, like, oh, maybe I should do this. People tell me I've been good at this. That's not there just because. You're actually supposed to act on it. And, a lot of people don't start. Just start. I mean, that's really the moral of that. Just start. Please start anything. Do something. That doesn't mean you have to quit your job. It doesn't mean that you have to change your entire life. But even if you have a little side hustle that brings in an extra $500 to $1,000 a month into your household, that still can be life changing for you. So don't think about, if you don't want a huge business, you can have a small business where you and your family do stuff together on the weekends, and that's your business, and you save money for Disney World. People think so big, I want to be on a profit, and I want to be on Shark Tank and all this stuff. Sometimes it might not be about that. Sometimes it just might be about the extra, just so you can have a little bit more freedom in your life. But that also requires you to start and do something. So that's my advice.
You guys heard that. So I love it. Aycee, please tell us where we can connect with you. How can we support your brand? Just let us know. How can we connect with you, girl?
Well, you can go to www.goodnightdarling.co. That's my website. And you can go to Goodnight Darling Co. on Instagram. And then my personal Instagram is AYCEE Brown, like the color of my skin, Brown, just on Instagram.
Yay. Well, we look forward to connecting with you. This was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I know we were supposed to have you on season 1, but we finally got it done. So I'm excited about this. And thank you again for coming on. Guys, make sure you go and visit her website, check her products out. She's amazing. And in the meantime, dream big and execute hard.
Dreams inspire